BYUtv, the football coaches. Another popular answer that we are seeing on social media today. Joining us now, a man who has compiled more than a big three of his own on BYU baseball, Mike Littlewood. Coach, welcome back to Studio
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You mentioned that you're not wearing your glasses today, and you quickly pointed out that it's great to have Jerem.
Yeah, good to see you, Jerem.
Yeah. Well, I'm just happy.
Is that you?
I'm just happy that your favorite is here doing the show with me today.
Yeah.
So.
We've established favorites. It's okay, man. There's a pecking order.
Sometimes I can't find those glasses. So.
Now, you ended up having some unexpected free time last night because of a rainout, which is always a bummer. You get amped up to play. You're going to go against a crosstown foe in Utah Valley. So what did you end up doing with your night now that you had it off?
Well, first of all, we got over here about 1 o'clock and had some BP over at Miller Park because they canceled on-field BP at Utah Valley, and got all dressed and had team meeting and drove down there and sat in the dugout. And so that was about 6 hours of nothing. And then you guys are going to think I'm total losers, but a total loser. But I went home and watched college baseball. I watched LSU and Tulane, and then I watched a little bit of UCLA, Cal State Fullerton, and then I watched a little bit of Yankees. And so I watched. My wife had some church duties, and so I just kind of sat there and watched baseball.
Why would I think you're a loser for indulging in sports and taking it easy, Coach?
Just like, tunnel vision, I guess. Just, do I not have any other interests in life? I guess not. So
I FaceTime
with my granddaughter, and that was fun. My oldest granddaughter. So I got something accomplished last night.
So what actually happens when you get into those situations where you're just kind of stuck in the dugout, nothing to do? What's the craziest thing you've ever seen happen in the dugout?
Dugout battles.
Just to pass the time.
Yeah, well, I think the craziest one that or maybe the coolest one I've ever seen was a bunch of guys well, first of all, last night I see a baseball coming from the other dugout, and I thought, okay, it's here it goes, because that's how it starts. It's a challenge that's written on a baseball, and you throw it from one dugout to the other. And nothing happened because we canceled the game shortly thereafter. But one of the coolest ones I've seen is a bunch of guys making an arch like this, and then they put a guy with the whitest body, whitest body. They slide him in through the arch of about 10 people, and then there's a darker guy in the middle, and then, so it's like a tanning bed. You put him through. That's a pretty good one. Jeff Barker who was a pitcher with us last year, he would do this thing. He could stand on his head, so he would put his pants on like over his head and stand on his head.
Oh yes, I've seen.
That's a pretty cool one, and to walk around on his hands, and that's a pretty good one.
For the record, anyone that's seen me in shorts knows I would be the whitest guy.
Yes,
it's pretty cool.
This is why baseball is the greatest sport.
Yeah, it is. I've seen teams like a total put together choreographed where maybe 10 players will be elk or deer running around the field, and then they'll have they'll have people like this as a rock, and then a hunter will come up behind the rock and shoot them, and they'll fall down on the ground. I mean, we're not very smart.
But creative.
But creative.
Very creative. Okay, so you don't get to play a game, which is frustrating because moving forward this week, as we mentioned, big series against Gonzaga coming up. You were hoping to iron out some kinks, especially in the pitching rotation. So what do you do now that you didn't get to play that game for your pitching rotation moving forward against Gonzaga?
Well, I did want to get Riley Gates a start and kind of see where that led into the weekend. Connor Williams looks like he might be able to come back this week, maybe not as a starter, but get him some innings. So today we'll just run a simulated game and have those guys throw 15 pitches live on the field, which isn't exactly like a game situation, but at least they get on the mound and see a batter up there. Our hitters get to see some live pitching. And that's going to be enough to get us ready for tomorrow. I mean, at this point in the season, really, just kind of go through, get your work in, and get stuff done. But it's really important not to go a full week without seeing live pitching. So that's the one thing we'll do today is just get some live pitchers out there and try to make it as much like a game as we possibly can.
We've talked so much since the beginning of the year about depth, and when you've had guys that needed to step up, you've had that happen. With this many injuries to key places like in the rotation, do you have to adjust expectations at all, or does that not change?
Well, I think it's just like the philosophy of next man up. The guys, they're here because they're good players, and they can get the job done. They may have to change roles. Hayden Rogers is changing role to a starting pitcher. He's been a starting pitcher before. He's got to maybe lessen his mistakes of throwing the ball, he'll throw 2 or 3 balls right down the middle of the plate. We call it wild over the plate. So he'll have to work out some of those, but somebody's just got to step up. That's the bottom line, and they can do it. But if you look at what we plan on going into the season, we had Kendall Moats as our number 2 starter, had bone chips taken out of his elbow. We got about an inning out of him this year, so he'll get a medical red shirt. And then Buffalo goes down with an elbow, and Connor Williams was out last week. But we just try not to look at that. On the other side, Kyle Dean goes down, and Brendan Anderson goes down, and Tanner Chauncey can only DH now because of his shoulder. And so, those are just things we deal with, and the depth thing is good. It's not devastating to us. It hurts, but it's not devastating.
Mike Littlewood with us, the BYU baseball coach on BYU Sports Nation, back in Studio B. With those that are available, when they become healthy, is the desired rotation now obviously Mike Rucker on Thursday, and then I guess I'm asking what do you do on Friday and Saturday? Does Connor become the day 2 starter? Does he stay at day 3? What do you do with that?
I think Connor will stay day 3 and move Hayden Rogers into that.
So he'll be the game 2 starter.
The game 2 starter. The way that hurts us is it takes a left-hander out of our bullpen, and especially a team like Gonzaga or Creighton, who we played last week, who has a bunch of left-handers. And you look at the end of games, it would be nice to match up with Gates and Burrup and Rogers, so we could kind of match up a little bit more. But now, we'll stick maybe Gates will start Saturday. We just have to kind of fill that out a little bit. But with Hayden in there, he's a guy that's been there before and can get the job done. And maybe we go staff day on Saturday. Hey, who's ready to go? Our philosophy right now is win the game that we're playing. Let's not look ahead. Let's just win the game we're playing.
You mentioned Brendan Anderson, and he was actually able to get in pinch run in a game over the weekend, but he hasn't played baseball since he tore the ligament in his left thumb. I know you guys were hoping to get him some baseball specific routines to go through. You had him in the lineup to play last night.
Yeah.
How comfortable are you right now with him playing?
I'm comfortable. Our trainers have said that he's not going to hurt anymore. I mean, the ligament's torn, so he's not going to hurt himself if he can stand the pain. And I mean, it's pretty much wrapped like a cast right now. If I wanted to get him in the game, that's probably the reason I wanted to play the most last night, was to get Brandon in the game and see just to get the feel of being on the field again after 4 or 5 weeks. I'll probably put him in there tomorrow and just see how he goes. And there's only one way to find out if he can do it, and that's by putting him there and see if he can do it. And so fortunately, we have Schneemann who's stepped up, and Jack Clough has been there for us all year. We have Nate Favero. So there's things we can do. Noah Hill's been in there, and there's things we can do that way. But Brennan brings such a like a magical presence. I mean, he's just one of those guys that he's a special guy on the field, and he just brings
swag,
an energy.
Man.
It's exactly what it is. I didn't want to go there, but that's what it is.
He carries a mustache comb on a chain around his neck.
They're all. You were there yesterday. They're all pretty clean shaven right now.
Yeah. Did it take you a minute? Did you have to take a second? Wait, who is that guy?
Well, for Trent Pratt, I did. I walked in. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Trent.
Where are my glasses? I don't see a big, thick mustache. Mike Littlewood with us on BYU Sports Nation. You get Gonzaga Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Your team, because of injuries and, stiff level of competition between Arizona, who is now looking like the team to beat in the Pac-12. Yeah. They've jumped way up in the RPI. Creighton, St. Mary's, the competition has really stiffened up, and it's not getting easier against Gonzaga. So where is your team mentally right now that you've lost a couple of series and you're facing some, adversity?
Yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate question because the most honest answer would be I don't know. It feels good. It feels right. I mean, yesterday the dugout felt better than it did against Creighton, and I really think Saturday against Creighton it was almost a case of overlooking. We come out and just spank them on Friday, and then we think they don't want to play. It's raining. The weather's bad. That's not the way to look at a veteran team that's got a 30-something RPI. I mean, they're good for a reason. They've won that many games for a reason. So I think that was just a bump in the road. I'm hoping it was, but as a coach, you kind of try to get a feel for where we at mentally. And I feel like we're in a good place just because we have a bunch of mature guys that they're just going to go play the game. They'll go play the next game and kind of see how it turns out. We feel really good with Rucker on the mound, obviously. One interesting kind of caveat to this whole thing is Rucker transferred from Gonzaga, and they bring, last year when Mike threw against him up there, it was ugly. I mean, they were on him. They were Bush from the dugout. I mean, they were saying some personal things, and we have to expect that out of their dugout. Coaches let them go a little bit, anything to kind of win a game. But hey, that's why we do this stuff.
How do you think, on the field wise, how do you feel you match up with Gonzaga and vice versa? How do you feel they match up with you?
I think we're almost exact same team. They throw 6 or 7 left-handers at you at the plate, and so that's kind of something that we'll have to combat. It's a lot like Creighton did. Bailey, and Morgan, their 1 and 2 starters are very, very good. Bailey's going to run it up there 92, 95 with a really good change. He can pitch. I mean, he can really, really pitch. And he'll give us fits if we swing out of the zone and don't handle that change up. But it's going to be if everybody plays to their potential, it's going to be one of those games where whoever makes the plays, whoever gets a key hit is going to win. A great series for the fans. A lot of anxiety for coaches.
Yeah, how is your mentality right now, Coach? You doing okay?
I'm telling you, I haven't slept one night since that Creighton, because I just, it's, as a coach, you're more worried about. I told the guys, hey, I'm more concerned about our mental state than I am the 2 losses. I mean, those 2 losses, we'll forget about those. You'll never remember those losses as you get when you're my age. But the way we feel and the way we approach the game has to change. And I have very little control over that, really, as a head coach. All you can do is, do a little rah-rah and hope they show up to play.
You've got plenty of swag, Coach.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'll take all the compliments I can get right now.
Let's get you some BYU Sports Nation karma this week
Let's
for
do
the
it.
Gonzaga series
I'll
too,
take
right?
it. Yeah.
Okay, so special dose of BYU Sports Nation karma to Mike Littlewood and BYU baseball as they approach a huge conference series with the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Up next on BYU Sports Nation, Stephen Bayo of BYU Hoops just got a scholarship